Hello, I think we're live on Facebook. This is Facebook here that I'm pointing at. And I do believe we're also live on YouTube now. So this is YouTube. Hello, everybody on YouTube. And hello, everybody on Facebook. Here we go. Welcome to podcast number 4, One Small Town podcast number 4, today's little journey. Because today we're going to do a bit of dreaming and imagining, and I want to take you through the process and the incredibly uplifting the way we would like to see it. The final version of what One Small Town will hopefully and possibly look like. I mean, we can just imagine when we eventually get there, who knows when. It could be 3 years from now, it could be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, who knows, imagining it today, but we have to start somewhere. Remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the very first step. You can't get from zero to hero in one long jump. It's a constant process. Every day we chip away and we get a little bit further and we make progress and we solve problems. So today we're going to manifest, we're going to imagine, visualize, and manifest, because that's how we do things. That's how we achieve things. And for those of you that don't yet understand this or don't comprehend this, understand that the act of imagining and thinking about it and visualizing things is part of this. So let's get into this. Before we get to the imagining and this wonderful, let me just first go through a few things that I wanted to bring to your attention. First of all, Ubuntu Contributionism book. Okay, this is a book that I released in 2014, and this really deals with the fundamental and basic principles of the One Small Town initiative. So I highly recommend that you get this book and read it. It's titled "Exposing the Global Banking Fraud," and so in this book, I really go into the deep, the origins of. You just don't. But very few people were aware of it until I started to write about it and discovered it by reading the Sumerian clay tablets. And that's what happens when you start to go into ancient human history and you start to look at the translations of the Sumerian tablets. You discover some fascinating things that are not taught in our history classes and our modern day history books. So that book will give you the foundation for what the One Small Town initiative is all built upon, that knowledge and that information. And it's very, very important to know where we have come from, that this is not just a movement that started last week or last month or last year, that this is a movement that's been going on for a long, long time. And learning and growing and experiencing new experiences and learning from all those experiences. So that's the first thing I wanted to share with you today. The best place to get this book is on Amazon. I know it's a dirty word in most circles that I move in, but unfortunately or fortunately, whichever way you look at it, Amazon is still the easiest way for me to distribute my books and to distribute this material. Literally the easiest way. So until somebody comes up with an alternative, then people like me and authors and everyone else can use that. But hopefully that's not going to be necessary once the One Small Town is up and running. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to visualize that beautiful small town and the interconnectedness of everything. Secondly, let me get my glasses on here because I made a note about here is complaining about the world is going to achieve nothing. Right. And unfortunately, we find ourselves in a situation where people, including us ourselves, we complain about so many things all the time because things are not going well. We all feel it. We know it. We try to be positive. I try to be positive. We all try to be positive. But in essence, there are many people that complain about so many different things. Now, first of all, we've got to learn to be grateful. We got to exhibit gratitude for what we have. That's one of the major important breakthroughs that we have to make. Gratitude for what we have and being thankful for what we have. So that's a lot to be grateful for. The fact that we can even think that and have a plan that we're sharing here right now. We have a plan. We have a solution. And that's what we're sharing here. That's potentially the most exciting thing that anybody could stumble upon right now. And I guess that's what does happen. They are, and how many emails I get from these people. So complaining will achieve nothing. Action will achieve everything. Remember, starting to get together, starting to cooperate, collaborate, and doing things, then we start achieving things. So that's really important. So let's stop complaining and let's start visualizing, manifesting, and doing the things that will get us to where we want to be. Every journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. Or how do you eat an elephant? Not that I want to eat an elephant. One bite size, one mouthful at a time. All these little expressions that come to mind. Okay, now I want to first, before we start here today, I'm see that there are people that are. It's telling me that the people on YouTube are missing out, and that it's not streaming. We're just going to continue. So the people on YouTube, thanks for joining, and please post your comments. And let's continue. I want to give a shout out to all our wonderful members in Ras Al Matan, Lebanon, to our amazing ambassador there that has been working around the clock with all the amazing people, because Ras Al Matan, Lebanon, as a One Small Town initiative, has really in many ways been our guinea pig. That's where we've learned so much, and we continue to learn. So I just want to say thank you to all the people in the beautiful town of Ras Al Matan in Lebanon. Thank you for your amazing commitment, for your passion, and for your contributions. This is absolutely important because we are learning so much from that first One Small Town that we've launched there in Lebanon. And my heart goes out to all the trials and tribulations that you have to put up with all the nonsense that's going on there. And I pray that that's going to come to an end very, very soon. I believe so. We have to believe that. So to all the amazing people in Lebanon, let's keep at it. You keep chiseling away. Keep doing what you're doing so well. Keep putting your ideas and the plans together, and start using the One Small Town plan the way that it's been laid out and the way we've developed it over especially the last 12 months with a platform and so forth. So I don't want to spend specifically talking about specific One Small Towns, what we've done, what we've tried, and what we've learned. Let's talk about how we're going to take this thing forward. All those experiences are going to be part of what the ambassadors are going to start putting into practice as they join, as they sign up. The new ambassadors that join us, that's really important, that they learn from the experiences that we've acquired through all the different One Small Town initiatives that we have started and learned so much from. So the other note I've made here is a great big thanks to everyone that has contributed. Whether it's members of our One Small Towns, whether it's the people that have been contributing financially, to our patrons, our amazing patrons that have literally kept us alive for the last 3 or 4 years, and those that make sporadic donations in various ways. It is absolutely critical. While we are still waiting for our funding to be secured, I expect for the next 6 months, maybe a little bit more, who knows how long these things take. But for at least the next 6 months, we are still very, very dependent on our funders, our supporters, our patrons, because without those, there is very little money to keep running this office and keep things going and moving forward. So don't stop supporting us. Spread the message. And if you have a few dollars every month, please sign up to be a patron. And let's see when we reach that stage. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. The comments here on YouTube, so I'll stop being distracted by the comments and let me focus on what I'm supposed to talk about. Please don't stop supporting us financially until I tell you that we no longer need your financial support. I promise you, the moment that day comes that we no longer need our funders, our donors, our patrons, that we no longer need that. I'll be the first one to make that announcement, because the last thing I want is to take money from anybody if we don't need that money. And that day is coming, hopefully sooner than later. Like I said, within the next 6 months, I believe we'll have sufficient funding from some of the technology that we've developed, that we're about to put into place, that's going to start generating funds for us and become the foundational bedrock and the stability of the global One Small Town movement. Just so if you don't understand that yet, I'm not going to talk about the depth in detail about what it is, how it works, how we're going to use it, because that is our very protective and secretive IP that we don't want the globalists or anyone to get their hands on, because that is the thing that's going to drive the success of One Small Town and help fund the small towns around the world. Okay, please let that sink in, how important this is. So, yeah, we're getting on with that, and things are going very, very well. And so we're all very excited here at the head office, and our various ambassadors and senior management, if I can call them that at this stage, senior management people in the UK, Julia, Michael, and their whole team over there, and Michelle and her team in the USA, which is just growing spectacularly. And I wish I could share with you the excitement that Michelle shared with me yesterday. Was it this morning or yesterday morning? Now I forget, because the time difference. The amazing pace at which things are developing in the USA and also in the UK with Julia and her team there. It is truly spectacular. South Africa, obviously, is where we work from. Our main establishment is here, and we're taking this incredible initiative to the world. It is a global initiative. It belongs to you. It doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you. It belongs to every single living, breathing human being. We have taken this idea and put it into a package so that everyone in any town, anywhere, can use it. We will guide you. I will guide you. We'll help you. And we'll help you put this together. Once you have an ambassador, once there is an ambassador, and the ambassador starts putting the plan together, starts putting the 12-month plan together, we will guide you and help you and hold your hand and give you suggestions and advice and whatever we can from our side. And from my side and my years of experience in this, I'll be there holding your hand, helping you and giving you suggestions and ideas and comfort as you need. But for that, we need those ambassadors. I mentioned that last week. I'm not going to dwell on that right now. So once again, thank you to all those that have been supporting us and contributing to the financial support of our office. Without you, we would not have been here today. Okay. So let me continue. So now we're going to do that little bit of dreaming. What is the end goal? What is the final goal? What's the final destination for One Small Town? And that is philosophically a very interesting question. And I think it might potentially differ from person to person, and each one of us might have our own imagination of what that final destination is going to look like, what that One Small Town is going to be like. How's it going to work? Where will it be, and so forth. So let's just go through this process. The most important thing is that the moment we start to work and cooperate and start to live the full kind of imaginary lifestyle in a One Small Town community, the moment we start doing that, everything changes. Everything changes. Things start to change. It's not going to change dramatically and drastically and quickly overnight, but things will start to change, and they will start shifting in a very new direction, because we're now step by step, day by day, changing the system, and we are creating a new system the way we want it to work for us. And remember, we forget this all the time. I have to remind myself all the time that the power lies with the people. The power lies and is in the hands of the people, but we just give it away to our governments. We give it away to our authorities. And then we struggle to take it back, because many of them turn into dictators and totalitarian control freaks, and they don't want to relinquish the power once they've got it. And that's how certain governments and certain people in politics remain there forever and ever. So we need to realize that We don't want to fight that. We're not fighting anyone. We're not going into violence or conflict or anything. We just start to do things slightly differently, step by step, and we start shifting and changing and creating a new alternative, a new system, day by day, step by step. That's in essence what this is. So don't think for 1 second this is some sort of if you want to join One Small Town, if you want to be in One Small Town, it is the end of something and beginning of something. It's like a drastic end. Oh my God, I've got to jump off a cliff into some deep, uncharted, dark, murky waters, and I don't know how deep those waters are and what's going to happen. It's none of that. It's not nearly as dramatic as that. In fact, it's not dramatic at all, and it's not scary at all. And I'd like you to please embrace this. One Small Town should never, ever be scary for anyone. It should be exciting, inviting, inspirational, motivational, uplifting, because we are turning our towns and we're looking at creating a utopian future for ourselves. Beautiful utopian towns. And I use the word utopian specifically because utopian is a good word. It's not a bad word. Think about it. The conspiracy, naysayers have been, saying, oh, it's just a utopian idea. Yes, it is. It is a utopian idea. And I like the word utopian. And we are building a utopian future for ourselves. And those who don't like it, those who don't want to join us, those who don't want to come along for the ride, it's okay. Keep in mind, One Small Town is a voluntary initiative. No one is forced to join us. So even you choose to be an ambassador in your town and you choose to start One Small Town in your community, it'll be those that resonate with you, resonate with your message, resonate with the meetings that you start, people that come to your meetings and resonate with the message and will want to join you and walk that journey with you. We literally are becoming the pioneers that will bring in this new era, this new utopian era that we are creating and laying the foundations for ourselves. So no one is forced to join us. Those that want to join you as the ambassador in your town will be those pioneers that will create that beautiful and will turn your town into a utopian place. Those who don't want to participate don't have to. And it doesn't mean they lose anything. They just carry on with their life as they go. They will start seeing slowly but surely, as you and your One Small Town team, growing team, start new businesses, as you start to make good profits with those businesses, as you launch your One Small Town store and the community kitchen, and you start all the different projects, all the sports, arts, and cultural stuff, and those that are not participating start seeing you and your team doing all these amazing things, they're going to start wondering, wow, well, what do you do? How do you do this? And your answer is, well, it's simple. I just find 3 hours a week. I have to contribute 3 hours a week to make this thing work. And, slowly but surely, those that sit on the fence will start to join you as they start seeing the benefits that all the One Small Town members are getting. And the camaraderie, the unity, the cooperation that comes from that. And the purpose, that feeling of purpose when you wake up in the morning and you actually have a purpose, that you have something to do, and you believe that your life is worth every minute and every second, because now there's a purpose for you, your family, and your children, because we are creating this new alternative. So now that's what I really wanted to start off by saying. The moment we embrace One Small Town, everything changes. And because it's going to start changing, we're going to start changing our town, the way we do things, the way we clean our town, the way we do sport will start changing, the way we start building our homes and the materials that we use to build our homes, and how we distribute water and what we do with the water and how we process and energize the water. So by the time the water comes out of the tap in your home, it is highly energized. It is highly pure, crystalline, structured water that is actually a healing tool that heals us. It's part of the healing process. Everything will change. The way we grow food, the way we work with food banks to ensure that we have future food security. So the way we start and come up with ideas and innovations in our communities, the way we raise funding for those businesses, because those businesses belong to us in our community, the way we raise funding and the way we start those businesses, the way we choose the people to run those businesses for us, to run the businesses, we're going to find the best possible people to run our businesses for us, because we want those businesses to be as successful as possible. Because we're the benefactors of everything those businesses do, whether it's the produce, the products, the engineering, the technology, the bicycles, the laptops, the milk, the cheese, the bread, whatever it is those businesses do, we're the benefactors. And we're the exporters of those products as well. So we'll make sure that the person we put in to run those businesses for us are the best possible people. So as I said, I think last week, there's no DEI involved here. We find the best person for the job. And for that reason, everything changes. Start working more seamlessly, and we will develop a way to do things that is very contrary to the current bureaucratic, red tape ridden system that we have, where you need to submit everything in triplicate and send it to 5. So what does that mean that everything changes? For example, let's dream a little bit. So, and your house is made up of recyclable material, whether it's hemp or whether it's something else, whether it's special exactly the way you want it. Imagine the kind of home that you would build for yourself if you had the materials and the tools to do it. Because that's in essence what we are doing for ourselves, what everyone will be able to do in our community. And if you say, oh, but what does that mean? Then I'm going to build myself a mansion with 20 rooms and 5 bathrooms. Okay, stop thinking like that, because that's actually one of the frequently asked questions that I deal with. What about those people that want a big mansion and 20 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms? I deal with that. So we're now living in a post-capitalist, greed-driven society, in a town where everybody realizes that everything is possible, everything is achievable, that we have everything we need. We never have a need for food or technology or anything like that. Excuse me. But this is necessary before I start sneezing. So everything is necessary. Everything is there, that we don't have a need for anything. The moment you live in a community in which you don't have to worry about having enough food on the table, or having enough electricity, or having enough money for electricity, or not having enough for education for your children, or not having enough money to go and study a new subject, or get a specific training or special skills in something special, that all of these things are available to us, that you never have to worry about not having a roof over your head and food on the table and all these things. And being able to go out and be entertained, and participate in sports, arts, and cultural activities. Or imagine in your town, all of this is available to you. What happens then? The first thing that happens is we lose the fear. We lose the fear of not having enough, because that is the fundamental driving force. And I know I've jumped tracks a little bit, because I can just imagine what some people are thinking when I talk about this utopian town, that you wake up and everything is available and possible. So I just need to paint that picture. So once we have this kind of utopian town, we lose the fear of not having enough, and lose the fear of the lack of this and the lack of that, because that's ultimately the driving force that keeps us going and to make money so that we can earn all these things. But when you are in a community where we do all these things for ourselves, and money is still part of it, but sooner or later that money will start to disappear, and you'll understand what I mean by that. And now, this is not to scare people away that we're doing away with money. Not at all. In fact, in the beginning, it's all about making as much money as we can for our community, because at the moment, Whether we like it or not, money makes the world go round. So we need to use that tool of enslavement as tools of liberation. And we're doing exactly that. But as we go and as we grow the one small town and things fall into place and everything starts to click and work, you no longer have to be worried about you have nowhere to live, that there's not enough food and so forth. And what that does also, you see, there's so much. I'm afraid that I might be jumping tracks. I'll force myself not to jump tracks too much, okay? What this does as well, and I'm not going to go into the details why, the moment we achieve this status, that is an unquestionable stabilizing effect on global population explosion. The moment you find yourself in this utopian environment, the problem of overpopulation flies out the window. It no longer exists. It ends right there. In fact, we might end up with a problem where there's a population implosion. And that's something else we'll talk about. And we'll see that in some countries around the world. Some countries where the economies are very strong and where people are doing very well, where there's a lot of wealth and money, and we'll see the populations are declining. So there's one of the immediate side effects of this utopian one small town is the stabilization of overpopulation and creating a highly educated, highly informed, highly skilled and talented community where filled with people that are able to express their talents and that have used their talents to acquire new skills and perfect their skills to levels that we're not really capable today because there's not enough time or money for most of us to do that. So suddenly we find ourselves in that kind of a society. So I wake up in the morning. I'm going to try and speed this up and go through this, a day in the life of waking up in a fully complete one small town community. Okay, so I wake up in my beautiful house built from these wonderful materials, and the question is, well, who designed the house for me? The architects in our town that design houses for our community. They design it because that's their job. That's what the architect's job is. Besides designing other things for other companies or foreign customers or clients, one of their jobs and responsibilities, because they love it and they want to do it, and that's why they are in our one small town as architects in our community, because they are there to design these beautiful homes so that each one is perfectly structured for your needs. And they're not just like little cookie cut boxes plunked next to each other that look just awful. And so we start to build art and design starts to being injected into everything we do. That's one of the other immediate side effects that we get in the One Small Town initiative. As I said, everything changes. Okay, so I wake up in my beautiful house and I get out of my bed, out of my beautiful sheets that are made in the factory. Or if we don't have a sheet factory, we traded these sheets for the apricot jam that we make in our town. We might be a town that is the biggest exporter of apricots and apricot jam and dried fruit and dried apricots. And we traded some of our apricots for these most incredible sheets that we get from one of the other small towns who just happen to make the world's greatest sheets out of the best materials. And when I say the word best, remember that we put the best people into the positions of management. We, the people of our towns, make sure that the best people run and manage our companies. Right? So now I get out of my beautiful bed, and the bed is made by our people in our factories as well. In fact, everything I touch, everywhere I turn, everything I pick up and use is most likely made either in my town or in one of the other small towns around me, or other small towns in other countries with whom we trade and exchange things. So everything eventually starts to filter through the one small town global distribution network. Because as we grow, as our towns grow and expand, the number of businesses in each town keeps growing in numbers. The number of products and produce and food and technology and healthcare and education and arts and sports and culture and all that stuff starts to just boil over, and we start getting into a position of abundance where we no longer actually have to buy things, where we can start to trade and exchange things. And that's a very interesting moment. So I'm going to come back to that. Okay. That realization. Well, let me just bring that up. That realization when you wake up in the morning and you think to yourself, when last did I use any cash or any money? And you realize, wow, I haven't used any money or cash for the past 6 months. And it's really at that moment that you realize that money does nothing. People do everything. We don't need money. We need each other. That is one of the fundamental arguments for the One Small Town initiative. But once again, we can't go from zero to hero. We have to get to that stage. But now I'm imagining that we already are in that utopian stage. So I don't want to scare anybody away. I just want to let you enjoy this moment of dreaming, of imagining, of manifesting. Let's do that, okay? So now we are I'm in my beautiful home. I'll go into my kitchen. I have my breakfast, and I either have beautiful cornflakes that are non-GMO organic cornflakes that we grow and we export, or I have eggs that come from the farms or my own backyard, and whatever it is. And my wife and my children come down and we share this beautiful breakfast. Or if I'm alone, if I'm a bachelor, I have a beautiful breakfast on my own in any case. And then I head out. I go and do my day. Now, either I have a business that I started in my community, a business that I am responsible for, or I have a job. Remember, we're still going to have jobs. We're still going to have jobs. We're not doing away with jobs. We're just drawing a distinction between a job and work. Now, when you have a job in the modern day world today, a job means you're a slave. You're a slave to a corporation or a government department or some large corporation, multinational corporation, and you have a job. They've employed you. They own you. When they no longer need you, they cut you loose and you're out on the street on your ass wondering where you're going to get another job. So One Small Town is not about creating jobs. So it's really important. We will create jobs for a small number of people, and the calculation is about 10% of the community will most likely be employed in full-time jobs based on the ratio between the number of people in the town and the number of businesses that we start in our community. That'll employ about 10% or between 5 and 10%. Let me rather be careful here. I can't remember those numbers exactly because I did them so long ago, because I've been doing this for so long now, and some of these numbers get a bit fuzzy. So somewhere between 5 and 10% of our community will be employed in full-time jobs, in full-time positions in the many businesses that we start, right? The rest of the people, us the community members, we are the labor force that make up the rest of the work in those businesses. We're the ones that do the security, the IT, the bookkeeping, the PR, the sales and distribution, the driving, and everything else, right? So, and we do that because that's part of our 3 hours per week contribution. And that is what turns our One Small Town of, say, 10,000 people into a powerful labor force. And with that labor force, each one of us contributing 3 hours a week, 30,000 hours of labor a week that we're contributing towards our businesses. That makes them successful. That makes them far more attractive to investors or to our own investment, because we've cut the monthly labor cost, because we're doing most of the manual labor, besides the small full-time employees, the critical employees that are absolutely necessary to make that business work. So let me go back now. Now I've explained what businesses are and the difference between a job and work. So I leave my beautiful house and I go to my job. And my job happens to be, I'm a coder and a programmer for a company that provides coding and programming services to international clients all over the world. Or I'm a brick maker. I make bricks, or I'm a carpenter. I work in the carpentry shop and I teach other people how to make things out of wood, whether it's tables or chairs or cupboards or whatever the hell it is, right? I'm a master carpenter and I teach people how to make carpentry stuff. Or I just work in the carpentry shop. And once again, there's a difference between the master carpenter and people that work in the carpentry shop. I might just be a full-time employee in the carpentry shop because I'm good enough to do the stuff. I've learned how to do it and so forth. So I go to my job. But that's my job. That is not my labor of love or what I do for my community, right? For that job, I get paid a salary like any full-time employee. But over and above my job, I also contribute my 3 hours a week towards one of the other businesses that we've started, or community upliftment programs, whether it's cleaning the streets or feeding the orphans or planting seedlings and whatever it is, cleaning the gardens and cleaning the rivers and the dams and all the things that we need to do as a community to make our towns beautiful. And those are the things that normally cost money, and those things, the money for those things is normally not available because we know why. So now I go to my job. I'm very happy because I don't have to worry about the roof over my head or the fact that I'm not going to have any food at the end of the month, because I am part of the One Small Town initiative, and I get my monthly benefits, which includes my basket of goods, which includes food and all kinds of other things that we manufacture. It includes my tokens, with which I can then go and use and spend at the One Small Town store, exchange my tokens for other goods that I may need, because I don't just want food. I also might want a new jacket, or I might want a bicycle to ride around on, and whatever is available in the One Small Town store, I can then go and get with my tokens that I've earned by contributing my 3 hours per week or 3 hours a day. So at the end of that day, I come home and I enjoy myself, and I go out to one of the restaurants, and the food that they serve in those restaurants is either locally grown, or it could be a fishing village on a coast, in a coastal town. So you can imagine how awesome that food's going to be in that coastal town village, and so it goes. So your life literally becomes everything is taken care of because you're a member of the One Small Town initiative. So on the weekend, I might choose to go. Choose to go to one of my hobbies. For example, I might have hobbies like yoga or archery or boxing or tennis, or, like I said, carpentry or horse riding or badminton or God knows what, anything that we have going in our community. And all those hobbies and all those things are always available to our members for free, because we set it up for ourselves. We don't set up those hobbies so we have to pay for them. We set them up for free. I hope the penny is dropping for you at this stage. So, in essence, the key thing here is that we will create a society and a community where we provide everything we need. And to do that, we have to start chipping away at it and working on it. We're not going to achieve it by bitching and complaining, and we're not going to achieve it by sitting on our asses and doing nothing. We're only going to achieve it and when we start doing this. And to do that, we now have a very clear plan of action of how to get there, how to get from here to there. And it's taken us a long time. And even, like I mentioned, in the town of Ras El Matan, Lebanon, we've learned some great and very important lessons of what works and what doesn't work, and how to restructure this, how to restructure that, how to make sure that certain businesses are successful, that we don't launch businesses that will fail, because we don't want One Small Town to be a failure. We want every One Small Town to be a success. But even if, for example, you had to start a business and for some reason things just don't go the way it works, there is no shame in that. It's just, we've tried something and it didn't work, so we're going to go back and we're going to relaunch and do something that that we're going to spend a little bit more time and effort planning and preparing for, so we make sure that when we launch it, it works. So I've already mentioned the difference between work and a job, so I'm not going to go over that again. And basically, the other important thing is that once you are a member of a properly functioning one small town, the thing that we constantly encourage, and that your community should be encouraging, and your leaders, I mean the people that are helping to keep the thing on track, the ambassador and the management team, to make sure that you constantly are inspiring and encouraging innovators and inventors to come up with new ideas and thinking out of the box. So any idea that you may have as a One Small Town member, you can take to the community and present it to your community and to your business planners and say, look, I've got an idea. How about building a horse racing track? I know it's a crazy idea, but if we have a horse racing track, it'll help stimulate the horse breeding initiative that we already have. It'll bring people to our town every weekend for horse racing activities. That'll help our tourism and hotel and hotel industry and hospitality industry and restaurants and entertainment. So all the people that come to town for horse racing every weekend are going to have to stay somewhere. They're going to have to eat at restaurants. They're going to have to go out and be entertained and so forth. So do a business plan. Is building a racetrack in a horse racing track a good business idea? And you work on it. And if it turns out that it's a good idea, then we have the steps in place to raise the funds for that racetrack. And now you've got a whole new dynamic business that the entire community is going to be working on with the expert management team that knows all about horse racing and how to build a racetrack and how it all works and put it together, and the architects and the civil engineers and so forth. So that's just reminded me, one of the most exciting things, I guess, evolutionary steps that has come to mind, that has evolved and just grown in my mind over many years now, is how do we take our existing towns and how do we upgrade them and improve them? How do we make our towns beautiful to start off with? And how do we start that process? Because that can't happen overnight. And this is, once again, a beautiful organic growth part of improving, upgrading, and uplifting our towns. So there are beautiful places to look at. Remember, aesthetic and visual beauty is really important. That's what art is all about. That's why people love art, and they love, they fall in love with a work of art or a statue or a sculpture or an architecture or anything. So anything to do with a creative input. So we have to start looking at our town like a blank tapestry, a blank space that we start to reimagine and recreate. How do we fix our town? If we see that there's an ugly industrial area over there that we need to fix up to make it beautiful, make it flow, to prevent and stop pollution flowing into the river, for example, or anything like that, which we know is happening as we speak. It just never stops. The crap and the shit that goes on in our towns is unbelievable, right? And it just goes on and on and on. And our municipalities and our governments seemingly can't put an end to it. So we're going to start looking at all these problems and finding solutions for these, because now we have a lot of people and a lot of very smart people that can find solutions, and we can implement those solutions because we do them ourselves. We don't need to raise money to do that. We go and do it ourselves. Obviously, we're going to need money for the materials and the tools and the plumbing and the piping and the whatever. So whatever we can't build and provide ourselves, or grow and provide ourselves, we then have to get and acquire, but then we do it ourselves. So we don't need to pay the labor because we are doing the fixing and the upgrading and the uplifting of our communities. So, for example, we can look at every suburb in our town and decide that the people that live in each suburb become the redesigners and the architects to redesign their suburb, to look So they look at fixing up the houses that might be old and shoddy, and fixing up the roads and the curbsides, and planting flowers and making sure it's beautiful, and make sure that there's a park for the community in each suburb and things like that. So each suburb will become like a group think tank to try and come up with ideas and plans to uplift their own suburb. Now, for that, I've developed a whole string of ideas and suggestions of how that will happen, how the people will come and contribute their 3 hours, where we find the materials, how the people get rewarded. And this is where you start seeing the incredible community spirit when you start doing that, how people just start to arrive. They want to be part of this revamped, revitalizing, uplifting spirit, because it makes them feel good. It gives them purpose when they get up in the morning. And again, especially in countries where there's high levels of unemployment, where people wake up and they've got nothing to do, this is what's going to give people that absolute drive and spirit and motivation and excitement that they've got something to do, and they're going to be rewarded. They're not going to be exploited. Never, ever will anyone in a One Small Town initiative feel that they're being exploited, because everything that they choose to do, everything they choose to contribute towards their community, towards the upliftment of their community, will come straight back to them as a benefit. They'll reap benefits from everything, and every time they contribute, there'll be a benefit. There is a benefit, and those benefits will just keep growing. So even the idea of uplifting our suburbs and making the houses and the buildings look beautiful, and the roads look beautiful, and the parks look beautiful and functional and useful, and the roads look beautiful and the parks look beautiful and functional and useful and user friendly and safe. All these things are all part of this incredible One Small Town utopian community that we need to build, that we are now building, that we are ready, and we have developed, become a major role player in the great success of One Small Town in the UK. In the USA, are kind of people that are now being attracted to the One Small Town initiative. You may have heard me say this before, and I'll say it again. It's going to take one conscious billionaire to realize the power of the One Small Town model. And one conscious healthcare services and businesses, and technology businesses, and retail businesses, and distribution businesses, and so forth. If I help to set that all up, our businesses is successful because they're the ones that contribute their time and labor towards those businesses voluntarily. The moment the first conscious billionaire or multimillionaire realizes this, and they enter this process, they start doing this with a platform that we've created, that's the end game. That's pretty much it. No one's going to be able to stop this, because you'll start seeing a stampede of very wealthy people to find the next small town that they can take and they can work with as the sole investor there. I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying it's potentially a good thing, because we might have a very focused approach to taking a small town and making it a great success. Given that obviously that investor is a humanitarian individual, it's not Bill Gates trying to undermine and infiltrate and so forth. But even if it was Bill Gates, it's impossible for people like Bill Gates or Soros to infiltrate our towns and take control of our towns, because they can never have more than 30% profit share of those businesses. Okay, keep this in mind. And again, there'll be separate workshops and separate podcasts where we unpack that and explain why that is so important. So the members of our community always remain the majority shareholders of our own businesses. And if we can provide the funding for all these businesses, if we can raise the funds ourselves between our members and our residents, we don't need foreign investment. We don't need outside investors into our businesses. And I believe that it's going to take just the first few businesses that we need to get funded. And after that, we can start funding our own businesses. So we no longer need outside investment. However, the point I was trying to make is that there are more billionaires and rich people in the world than there are small towns. That's an interesting statistic. Now, I speak under correction. I did some research on this, and it turns out that there are more wealthy people in the world than there are small towns in the world. So you see the problem, and it's a good problem, because the moment the rich people realize that small towns is the way of future investment, because now you've got real investment, you got food security, you got community security, you got a beautiful place, utopian place for you and your family and your children and your children's children and your future. You're creating a stable environment into the future. And the moment the conscious billionaires see this, there's going to be stampede for these small towns, and there are not enough small towns to do that in. So we need to get to that place, so that this is going to create a global explosion that nobody could have ever imagined, from the small towns around the world, not from the cities, the urban areas, the big corporations investing into something because they want to put their logo on things and get glory all over the world and sponsor TV events and that. It's going to come from small towns, and the many, many hundreds and thousands of businesses launched and the initiatives launched by small towns. And this is coming. That day is coming. We're getting very, very close to that critical point, that tipping point, or the critical mass. The tipping point is an interesting concept. Critical mass, however, is also very interesting. Critical mass is not more than 50%. So, if you think that we need more than 50% of the people to start achieving this or achieving critical mass, not at all. Critical mass is somewhere, if you do the calculations based on what I've researched and so forth, is critical mass is somewhere around 3.3%. So if 3.3%, 3.3 people in a room of 100 people start to promote a certain idea, it won't take long. If it's a good idea, if it's an idea that will benefit everybody else, it's not going to take long for the rest of the people to realize that that idea is going to benefit them as well, and they'll go along with it. That's a critical mass. It's around 3.3%. So in a small town of, say, 10,000 people, I hope my math is doing me is good here. It's going to already get to that point of tipping point and the critical mass where everybody starts to realize this is something we need to get our hands dirty on and get involved in. So I hope I've shared enough of this vision with you. Everything changes. We are putting energy into it. And if you want energy out, you need to put energy in. We're putting our energy into it, and we will reap the benefits, because community initiatives that you already are part of. There are so many groups in so many small towns that do so many amazing things. I know in some of that gets together every weekend and they go plant flowers at the traffic light and the intersections. Plant flowers to make the because it makes you feel good. It gives you a sense of purpose, and we're getting there very, very quickly. So from some of the comments and so forth. So I've just written down 4 questions, and I'm quickly going to go through. The first question was, why don't you broadcast this on Rumble, or why don't you put this on Rumble? The answer to that is yes, I will do that as soon as I can. I trust Rumble is a lot safer than YouTube. We all know why. Hopefully YouTube's going to wake up and stop being doing what they've been doing, shutting people out and closing or censoring videos and so forth. Hopefully that's going to stop. But we will place these videos on Rumble as well, and they will also be available on the One Small Town platform. So yes, that's absolutely. Then there's another suggestion about a One Small Town online town hall where members can contact each other and interact with each other and share ideas and information and support each other and discuss and create various subjects and categories where experts and people can share those ideas. Absolutely. But it needs to be done in a structured way that actually creates some sort of a benefit out of that. Because I'll tell you what I've learned is the worst possible thing that you can do as a One Small Town potential initiator of a One Small Town initiative is to start promoting the initiative and organize a get together at a coffee shop and get together once a week. And then you start to get together every week at a coffee shop or at a certain venue, and you start throwing ideas around and you start planning this and planning that, and that goes on for weeks and it goes on for months. It goes on for a year, and believe me, we have had this happen. And sooner or later, the people start going, okay, well, we're now talking about all this. When are we going to do something? That's a problem. There needs to be a result. You can't just keep meeting and sharing ideas, and especially if it's in a physical environment. If it's in a virtual environment where people share ideas and exchange ideas virtually on a platform, that's very beneficial, obviously, because we can share a lot of ideas, but it needs to be done constructively. We need to get something out of it. We need to make sure that if we find people with special skills and talents, those people will have an avenue and a channel to put those talents to use. And that's where it's important that you participate in a physical One Small Town initiative, that it's not just a virtual and an imaginary One Small Town thing that you're constantly sharing ideas with and sharing this, and eventually you get so tired of it that you go, okay, well, this is just a whole bunch of hot water. We're just blowing hot air every week and we're not getting anywhere. And we don't want to do that. We want action. We want people to put their ideas into action. So if you want to start up a meetup group, do that by all means, but make sure that it goes somewhere, because sooner or later people are going to start getting bored and tired, keep meeting, and where's it going? And this is where the ambassador and the plan of action comes into place. That's so critically important. I can't see why people should meet for more. If you're in a specific One Small Town environment, there's no reason for you to meet more than 4 or 5 or 6 times to start throwing ideas around and starting to come up with ideas of what to do, how to fix your town. 2 months, 3 months maximum. And that's really what we suggest with our One Small Town ambassadors and the team, the innovation team or the launch team. 3 months to put a plan together. What are we going to do in our town? And then take it from there and get to work. So by all means, if you want to start a meetup group, do it, but understand that don't just talk hot air. And as far as an online town hall, online contact sharing ideas, we're working on that on the platform, because that's going to be among members. Okay, so you become a member of One Small Town, and we are working on that, whether it's a Telegram type facility or a WhatsApp kind of group chat facility, something like that. Our platform has those capacities and those capabilities. So we are working on that, but we want to make sure that it's going to serve our members constructively and productively, that it doesn't become a frustration thing where we're now just sharing ideas. And I know that there's a guy that can build log cabins, and there's a guy that can, there's a baker, and there's an engineer, and there's a guy that can build laptops. And so what? How are we going to put those people to good use? Okay. And we got teachers who want to teach. Well, where are they going to teach? So all these ideas need to be put into a constructive plan and a plan of action. What are we going to do with all these talented people that want to contribute their skills? That is the critical part of the 12-month plan that should eventually actually become a 24 or a 36-month plan. So that's really important. Next question is, how do I participate? What do I do? Where do I contribute? Once again, sign up as a member. Once you sign up as a member, then log in and go in to apply for other roles. And you'll see under the apply for other roles, you'll see all kinds of other roles, from ambassador to project managers, to business planners, to teachers, to farmers, to et cetera, et cetera. So you can then log your speciality and your skills under your profile, under your membership profile, so that once your One Small Town is launched in your town, your name will automatically appear as a member of that One Small Town that you live in, because you live in that town. And all the other members in your town will be able to see you as a member, and you'll be able to see all the other members and see their special and specific skills. And that's the reason why we've done this. So at the moment, there may not be a small town that you belong to, but by logging your skills and your special, hobbies or skills or knowledge, the moment you become a part of One Small Town initiative, those skills will then be put to use by the other members of your One Small community. There will there will come a time where our international members, One Small Town members, can offer their skills on the platform to anyone if they are virtual skills. If they're like, for example, bookkeeping skills or legal skills or architectural skills or anything like that. It's not, not physical hands-on, a plumber that's to come to your house and fix your plumbing. So these are skills that can be done, virtually or not on location. So where our members can contribute their skills, provide those skills to any other member, One Small Town member around the world, and those skills will be provided for tokens. So you'll offer your skills and to other members. Other members will book you for your skill or book you for your service. You'll agree on how many tokens they're going to get paid, and you'll then pay them in tokens. And this is how we keep growing and expanding the use of the One Small Town infinity tokens. These are the infinity tokens that will be shared there. And that's why they become such an important, integral part of this independence that we're creating. Remember, what we're trying to do here is, if for some reason the banking world should implode or explode, and the banks close their doors like they've done several times in several countries. Remember Cyprus 2013 or 2014? The banks all closed their doors and everybody lost the money they had in their bank accounts. I bet you've already forgotten about that, right? Yeah, well, it happened. And it's happened in a few other places as well. So we want to be in a situation, if that should ever happen, or if the banks want to play silly games with us, or they go totalitarian dictatorship on the people of the world, we have an option. We have our private membership infinity tokens that we use to trade and exchange between our members. And this is completely private and has no external influence. So if the bank should close their doors, and we've already well evolved in our use, in the use of our infinity tokens, we may not even notice that the banks have closed their doors because it's become such a well-oiled machine. We just continue using our tokens, trading, exchanging, and improving our world. Okay, and finally, and this is going to be the final question, is and this is, I love this question. This is actually also one of the frequently asked questions. If you look through some of my older videos, show me an example of a working town and I'll believe it, or I'll get excited. Show me an example of a working town somewhere, and then I'll believe it and I'll get on board. That is the most ridiculous thing to say. If that's the kind of attitude you have, then my friend, you belong in the bottom dwelling pile of people that'll never achieve of anything. So the kind of people that achieve greatness and pioneers, people are people that take risk, people that imagine things and then they go and do it. They imagine something, they visualize it, they plan it, and then they go do it. We're not anywhere near one small town somewhere, the way that I've described. We're nowhere near that. We're building it from the ground up, step by step. When we get there, it'll be obvious to everyone, and I'm not going to have to do this. I'm not going to have to explain this and try and share the philosophy and help people visualize it. Those days are over. The moment we have one successful town anyway, the thing will sell itself. Not sell is the wrong word. The thing will promote itself. Everyone can see how it works. We are still going to have to guide and advise people because everyone is quite new to it. But there is no example of one small town anyway. And everyone that's ever achieved anything, whether it's Elon Musk or whether it's Microsoft, or whether it's Apple, whether it's all the most successful companies in the world. Imagine Adi Dassler when he designed the first sports shoe that was used in 1968 World Soccer final. Nobody was making sports shoes for soccer players in those days, and Adi came and made a sports shoe, and nobody imagined, and they used that sports shoe in the World Cup and the soccer World Cup, and that created an entire new industry. And everybody was probably telling him, "Oh, forget about it. Sports shoes, are you crazy?" So if people tell you, show me as an example of a working town, you know that those people are not ready to be the pioneers that'll bring in this new era of our utopian future. Just ignore those people. You don't have to engage them. You don't have to try and convince them. It's okay. If they want to sit on the side and wait, it's okay. We still love them, but that doesn't mean we're going to stop doing what we're doing. We're going to continue building and growing One Small Town because we believe in it. We know it's possible. We've already smelt it and tasted it, and we've tasted its success. And now we're going to make sure that we get there. So there's no turning back. And we are so very, very close right now. So really, it's on that note that I'm now going to say thank you for joining me, Michael Tellinger, on podcast number 4. I hope it's given you some more insight. I look forward to continuing next week, next Wednesday. I'm not sure what date that will be, but I look forward to seeing you then. Until next time, thanks for joining me. Bye for now.